own your individuality, like own who you are and don't be ashamed of it. And like to know that you don't have a damn thing to prove to anybody but yourself.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Building Men Podcast. My name is Dennis Meralda, the host and creator of the Building Men Podcast. I'm joined, as always, by my younger brother, co-host Anthony. What's up?
What's up, brother?
There it is. Did it again. What's up?
I'm
to
so
see you.
good.
Yeah, you are. Can you do this from now on?
You want me to reach across your crotch? I could do it. I don't mind.
It's not going to be the first time that's happened, my friend.
I know. But yeah, you almost. I was looking at you. I was like, he's gonna do it.
He's gonna do it.
I can't keep doing it for you. You will never learn.
I will. I'll get it.
I know you will. I believe in you. You're good at other stuff.
There's a couple things I'm good at. So I'm going to start with, I had a long drive back I was up in Rhode Island last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Mm-hmm. And I was working with a school district, teaching the teachers about trauma, social emotional learning, how to talk to kids, and just the importance of like the accountability piece with kids. So anyway, I use it as a segue. I was up in Rhode Island for a couple days, and the training ended at 2, and I'm like, I'm going to get in my car in Rhode Island from here. I think it's 240 miles from Rhode Island. I'm like, all right, it's going to be about, 5-hour drive, right, give or take. And I love to drive. I was like, I'll listen to podcasts, couple audiobooks, I'll throw on some music or whatever. And I get in the car and I like put in a GPS. It was saying it was gonna be like 7.5 hours.
Oh boy,
it was like
it's more than 5.
Oh, yeah. 7.5 is more than 5.
Yeah,
and that's what you're good at.
Not
is
a number,
quick math.
Yeah,
on the show, you're really good at that.
That's right.
And so, and especially when you're looking at the map on the car on the GPS, and you could see the red.
Oh, that's the worst.
And so what I decided to do, I went off the book a little bit. I took like side routes, so I would get off of 95, and even if I was driving for a longer period of time, just to not be stuck in traffic.
I can't. Just standing and sitting in traffic the whole time in a parking lot, yep, and just not moving.
And it was so frustrating, like as I'm driving, like not being in control of the next thing. Yeah. And I was like, I love to drive, but I can't do this anymore. I was like, I do need to learn to let go. So anyway, I'm listening to this this audio book on the drive home, and it was about the power of persuasion. It was so fascinating to me, the way that people get influenced in different things in society and different like marketing things and advertising things. And so one stuck out to me, and I wanted to just bring it up before we bring our guests on today. I like to do these little, thought-provoking things at the beginning. So they did this study, right? And so there's a line of people waiting to go to a coffee machine. You're right. You want me to?
Fucking almonds. I'm fine.
You sure?
Yeah.
This is one of our smoothest openings in the history of the Building Men
my
podcast.
eyes are tearing because I'm
they
trying to hold back
tearing.
from coughing. Okay, keep.
So the setup is there's a line at the copy machine, right?
Yeah.
And so there was like the person who was doing the study. What they wanted to do was get in front of people in the line. Mm-hmm. Like they had to give a story to get in front of people in the line. And so they would go up and they would say to the people in front of them, "Can I get in front of you to make a copy?" And it was 60% of the time the person said, "Sure, you can go in front of me. Can I go in front of you to make a copy?" Then they did it again, and all they did was they added the word "because," and then any other statement after that. The results went from 60% of the people to almost 95% of the people. It went from, "Can I get in front of you to make a copy?" to, "Can I get in front of you to make a copy because," and it didn't matter what they said. It was almost 100% of the time. It was 90-something% of the time. Even if they said, "Can I get in front of you to make a copy because I want to get in front of you to make a copy?" Sure, go right ahead.
Because I'm coughing up almonds right now.
Unbelievable. And I'll bring it up in other future episodes, but just the power of, one, the confidence to be able to, state a reason why. But it's like a persuasive thing. Once someone had a reason why they were doing what they were doing,
yeah,
it opened up this door for them. Almost 100% of the time, they should go in front of me to make a
Or look
copy.
at how easily people are persuaded,
right?
And they don't even listen to what you actually want. They just say, oh, they got a reason, and it's probably better than mine. Automatically, your needs are better than mine because I'm going to be a nice person and let you in front of me.
Can I get in front of you to make a copy because it's such a beautiful day outside today?
No,
sure,
fuck you.
Right, exactly.
Go home.
So it was just a quick aside.
Yeah.
I was listening to the audiobook.
I think that's a fun fact.
So we'll use that into. I don't know how I'm going to bring it into.
I was curious how you're going to circle.
Well, you know what I'll do is the
back
power
around.
of confidence of kind of trying to like be steadfast in what you want to do in your life, and I'll wrap it back in some ways. I always do. So I am going to introduce our guest to you today, coming to you all the way from Medicine Lodge, Kansas. We have Pake McNally. Pake, welcome to the Building Men podcast.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
So, first of all, we connected on Instagram a while back, and I told my brother that we're going to have Pake McNally on the show, and he's like, "What?" Like with all due respect, like that name, I've never heard of the name Pake before.
Yeah,
but you sound like a name that I would have made up to be like a superhero. Like if I'm gonna be like if I'm playing like
or Peaky Blinders, you're like somebody in there. I feel like that sounds like a Peaky Blinders name.
Pake. Like is that like a family name? Tell us a little bit about your name.
So the country singer Reba McEntire. She has a brother named Pake. And he was a musician back in like the 80s into the early 90s, like did a lot of regional stuff. And my dad heard the name and he really liked it. My dad was a cowboy, and I think he thought it sounded like a cowboy name. And so my first name is Christopher. My middle name is Pake, but my father was just like, but we're going to call him Pake. And it's kind of a pain in the ass, but it's a blessing because people hear it and they remember it. And then when you're running your own business, you need to be remembered. You know?
Absolutely.
So here we are. That's what it is. And I rode horses yesterday, so I'm still kind of a cowboy, I guess.
There we go. You're living it. Yeah, you're living it too.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Like that's one of those names, like you mentioned, it will stand out, especially if you're in the space of helping people, and we'll get into what you're doing now. But when you have one of those names that stands out, and then
can you call me Pake from now?
I'll come up with a name for you, another name for you before we get
the Thrasher
to the Thrasher.
We'll work on it.
Well, yeah, we'll get it back on track for you, Pake. So. Growing up you grew up in this area. You grew up where you are right now. You grew up in
I moved
Kansas.
back home. Yeah.
So during your time growing up, I mean, was it just to beat the mention horses, beat the name, beat it, the dead horse, beat it, kick a dead. Yeah. So we growing up, like, what was that like in school? When you hear kids that have something that stands out, was it just like you were just Pake, you're Pake McNally?
Like it was like. I don't know. I was pretty self-conscious about it there for a while, like in my teenage years when I was like a young idiot, And then at one point I just like decided to own it. And like I actually I haven't told this story to anybody in forever, but like we moved like 30 miles. My folks split up and we moved 30 miles, and I live in a really rural area. So I was just like, well, new school, new start. I was a freshman, and I was just like, fuck introducing myself as Pake. Like, I don't want to go through that in a new school where I thought nobody would know me. And this was like almost pre-internet too. So I didn't think that many people knew me. So I was just like, I'm going to go by Christopher. And that lasted for about 3 days. And then I got tired of that shit and went back to Pake. And I'm glad I did. But yeah, I was just really self-conscious about it. And then like there were 3 other Christophers in my class of 55 people. And that was a pain in the ass too that I hadn't thought about. So yeah, I just owned it, man.
Yeah. Stand out.
So you kind of slid it in there a little bit. Your parents split up when you were, from going from middle school to high school. Is that what you said? Your parents?
Yeah. They. right in there. Yep.
So what was that like growing up in that situation where, like if you listen to the podcast, you know that within the last, year, I've gone through a divorce, and it's one of those things that you think about with your kids. How is it impacting them? And even the work that I do with school, like one of the things that they say is that it can be a traumatic experience for kids, but it's also the way that the parents package it. It could be like, oh, it's this horrible thing. Or, listen, sometimes it doesn't work out, and, mom and dad are, we're going our separate ways, and they can see you being stronger. So how was that like for you as a kid going through your parents separating?
Like, they got along. They were always, like, they got along really well and still continued to do stuff together. And my dad, he drank too damn much. Like, he was an alcoholic for sure, airing out the family laundry, but that's all right. There's lessons to be learned from this. So that was a big part of it. That and money was a big part of it. And my folks didn't talk. Like, my dad actually passed away, like, when I was 18. So, like, the fall after I graduated high school. That wrecked me. But my parents were like, they still loved each other, and they were working on themselves. Like, my dad was working on himself, and my mom was like working on herself. And like, I tell myself that they would have gotten back together if he wouldn't have passed away. But we'll never know. And now, like, I've thought about this a lot. My mom married like an amazing man 8 years ago, something like that. And he reminds me a lot of my dad. And like, if my dad was still alive, like, I don't know if it would necessarily be better, but it'd be different. It'd be a different kind of good than it is now. Like life goes on, But going back to just their initial divorce, like it messed with me. Like, I was kind of a shithead anyway, growing up, drinking too much, partying too much. I had a car that was way too fast, and I was chasing girls and trying to get away with shit. And, it just caused me to be more of an idiot, I guess, but live and learn. So,
and we all go through those idiot stages in our lives. We go through those times where we're, do the stupid shit and look back. We just had a guest on and talked about what's worse, like doing something and having the regret of the experience, or inaction and having the regret of not doing something that you wish you did. It's such an interesting thing. So I wonder too, when you mentioned, you did some stupid shit, as we all did.
Yeah.
When you look back at your experience growing up and, lessons that you learned from your father, maybe things that you wanted to do to emulate him as a man, like lessons you learned about masculinity, what's one or two things that you thought, wow, like he has it together here? And what's, something that you thought, when I'm a dad, I'm not going to do this?
Yeah. So my dad, like, loved to read, and he instilled that in both me and my sister. My mom loved to read too, but like, seeing my dad read books, and like, he never touched a computer in his life. Like he just didn't. And he passed away in 2004, so they were kind of starting to come around. But like, he loved to read, and hated his cell phone, hated all that stuff. But he taught me the love of reading. And actually, so my business motto is so it's Become Stronger Industries, and I got that from a book by Louis L'Amour. I don't know if you guys have ever read any of his books. He wrote a bunch of Westerns, like 200 novels, back from like the 50s through the 90s. And my dad basically told me to like read these books, and they'll teach you how to become a man. Because he knew I wouldn't listen. You know what I mean? Like, but I would read the books, and we'd kind of talk about it. And we'd talk about the places that like these men had been, these fictional characters. They always went to real places that like I had read about in other books, like actual history books and whatnot. And we'd talk about it. And it just really, like, it was an awesome way, in a roundabout way, to like show me how to be a man's man, how to be like, because all the characters in the books, they're very strong. and they're either there's no real gray areas. They're either bad or they're good, you know. So it's not like real life, but it's a good thing for a young kid like on the verge of manhood to read. And yeah, and then a bad thing, you know, like him and my mom didn't talk, and they just didn't communicate worth a damn. And and it's my mom like admitted like it's her fault too, and it just is what it is. But it taught me, like I got married 6 years ago, and like me and my wife talk about everything, like everything, especially when it comes to finances. Like we are, like money's still tight, but damn it, like we're talking about it, and we're always like, if something's bothering me about like life in general, like I'll talk to her and vice versa, you know. So yeah, it's just we have a very open relationship with that, and I wouldn't trade that for the world. Like, well, I believe we'll stay married because of that, you know. So.
I'll definitely get back to the communication piece with you and your wife. That's such an important part, especially when we talk about masculinity and, you know, the importance in relationships. But real quick, I don't want to let the opportunity pass. In the books that you read, do you remember any of the main characters, you know, either the antagonist or the protagonist? Does anyone stick out to you?
Yeah, there's like a family of like, they're called the Sacketts, and they're like, there's a bunch of brothers. Their last name was Sackett. And there's a bunch of brothers. Like if you messed with one of them, you got them all. So the names that are coming to mind right now, there's like Barnabas and Tyrell and Warren, and just a bunch of like awesome names that like I wanted to name like all my sons. We ended up going another way with my boy's name, but that's all right. But just strong men, you know. Yeah, like I still read the books once in a while, and like and my son will read them, and it's just a good way to grow up.
I love that tradition that you kind of have there, and it's such a different way of kind of teaching your son masculinity in a sense, like something that you don't usually hear from people, you know. And everyone has their own way of doing it, and you know, there's not one way to skin a cat. And I love how he told you to read the books because maybe it was hard for him to kind of express and communicate in that way, like you talked about. So he did it through books, and then still allowed you to discuss it in a way which made it personal in that sense. And I think that that's such a cool way of going about it. I would never think of.
And the coolest thing for me is that Anthony's been working on a character. His name is Buck Leatherchaps.
Yes.
And
that's my Halloween costume. Yeah.
So do you want to talk to Pake?
I'm not doing Buck
Leatherchaps. He's a grizzled old cowboy from Austin, Texas.
There you go.
I don't even know.
That's me getting you back for the beginning of the episode.
All right.
I was like, I just need to come up with a good name. Buck Leatherchaps is that's a strong name. I would think he's the antagonist, right? He's not.
That's right. He's a bad. He's a bad boy.
I'll tell you what. It's just a matter of time. He's gonna think about it right now.
I'll do so.
Buck will come out before the end of the episode.
There we go. I like it.
Buck
Leatherchaps, and he might come out of the closet too. Maybe it's a gay cowboy that you're gonna do here too. You never know.
Yeah, who knows?
Best part of the podcast right there.
It puts the lotion on the skin.
It does it when it's told.
That's so funny.
So that I would agree with Anthony's sentiment about using that characterization. So like, let's read something together, talk about it, and it, you know, what a cool bonding experience for you and your father to have. Now that like, is that going to be something like now moving forward with your own son? Will you continue that tradition, or will you adjust it in a little bit of a way? Maybe there's a video you watch together, you watch a movie together. Or will you take that in your own way that you'll be a father to your son and kind of emulate that same tradition?
You know, like right now the plan is like to get off my phone and like read to him more. You know what? I'm good about it, but so the short answer, no. But I'm gonna talk to him more about it and go a little more in depth with it. Like me and my dad talked, but like you know, and I'm sure my son Jasper will be the same way. When I got to be like 13 to 16, 17, like I wouldn't listen to a damn thing. So he tried to like. My dad had some really good friends that are like my uncles, you know. So like he knew I would kind of listen to them. So he would like kind of set up like opportunities for me to talk to them, you know, about life in general and girls and whatever the hell. And so I'll probably kind of do the same thing, because like if my boy's anything like myself, he's not going to listen to me, but I'll talk more. I'll pursue it more, and I'm still like going to surround him with a strong group of like men my age, you know, my peers, for him to like put his trust in, and go from there, you know. Yeah,
I agree, and I think that's a lot of what we're missing right now in society, and as we're raising young men, is them having an opportunity to see other men congregate, communicate, yep, do manly type things together. Yeah. Because you know, you could learn a little bit by hearing someone say something to you, by talking, but by observing the way that men act in that community aspect, I think that's really missing. And I think that's your father was onto something. That was definitely he might not have recognized he was doing it for that specific reason, but it definitely you could definitely tell it hit home with you.
Yep. Yeah. It's something I didn't really realize until like I was a dad, you know, like just never really thought about. And then you go back and you start to think about what you went through as you're growing up, and like, oh, well, it all kind of comes together and makes sense. And I'm definitely more at peace with it now, with the whole situation, you know, like it doesn't, still sucks, but it doesn't tear me up like it used to, right, you know? So
yeah. If Jasper comes to you in 10 years and he's like, Dad, what does it mean to be a man to you? How would you answer that?
Oh man, hit me with the hard ones.
Listen, you're listening to the show, you know they're coming.
Yeah, I know. I'd say like, you know, just to be strong and competent in like all aspects of life, like physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, like, and to own your individuality, like own who you are and don't be ashamed of it, and to like to know that you don't have a damn thing to prove to anybody but yourself. Like that's a big one, and I still struggle with that, you know, like still trying to make my dad proud. So and it's exhausting, frankly, you know, and I don't want him to have to. I want him to look at my life and be like, oh man, I can go out and do some really cool stuff in a different way than he did.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I want for my boy.
Especially having the courage to do what you did. I want to get into a little bit. As we were getting to know each other before we started recording today, knowing that you were in the the service, you got into the service, and it wasn't the typical way. It wasn't like you were 18 years old and you went to a recruiter. What happened with you is it came later on in life. So talk to us a little bit about that journey that you went through as you enlisted when you were in already into your adult years.
Mm-hmm. So growing like right after high school, to backtrack just a little bit, I was a Wildland Firefighter for the Forest Service. So like at the time it kind of scratched that itch as far as service and like a really cool job is concerned. I got to travel all over. I got to do some really cool stuff. I got to wear a neat uniform and like fight huge fires. Like it's pretty awesome. And then I moved home to got married, and I was running my own metalworking business, like blacksmith shop, traditional blacksmithing, and got married. And I hadn't really thought about health insurance at all, like until I got married. Like I just kind of was winging it, and I'd always wanted to join the military anyway. Like that was like I'd always wanted to do it. But after my dad died, I was hesitant. And because I wanted to go off and do my own thing, but I still wanted to be like a phone call away, and I could go help my family at the drop of a hat. You know, I wouldn't have to jump through any hoops. But anyway, got married. My wife we were talking, and I decided to enlist as a private first class at 29 years old as a combat engineer. So I went out to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and just loved life for 14 weeks out there, and turned 30 while I was in basic. You know, I was the old man, putting up with 17-year-old kids, and it was quite the experience. It was a good time. I'm glad I'm still in. I won't, and that's how I keep my family covered with health insurance. The fortunate thing is, like, I'm in a really good unit, and I love my job in the Army. So,
what was the best old man joke you heard?
Do what?
The best old man joke you heard. I mean, you must have heard some good ones.
There weren't really any old man jokes, but like my first day there, like where the basic training actually starts. So you're stuck in it's called reception. We were there for like 2 weeks, where life just sucks. You're getting all your inoculations. You're doing all your paperwork. You're getting yelled at by drill sergeants, but they can't really do anything to you. And then when basic training actually starts, they're doing the shark attack and all that. And like, I have a little drill sergeant, and I'm not a big man. I'm 5'10", but a little drill sergeant, 5'8", come up to me, and I'm standing in line, and just the pure look of hatred and disgust, that he gave to me is just like, "How old are you, McNally? Son of a bitch." This is I'm already singled out, I thought I was going to blend in and just coast through. And no, that wasn't the case. And then I ended up getting high PT scores out of everyone, and really brought myself attention, whether I wanted it or not. But it is what it is. So, but yeah, it was an interesting experience.
Oh, I'm sure. What's a lesson that you learned during that time that you're like, you know what, I didn't know this about myself, but after going through this experience, both physically, emotionally, mentally, everything, what's something you're like, wow, I am capable of this now?
Physically, everything I had done as a Wildland Firefighter was harder. So physically, I was good. Trying to think. I'm not going to say I coasted through, because I didn't, but I didn't have a hard time of it. I missed my wife terribly. I was married for 6 months before I left. So newlywed and taken off. I'd say patience, probably. I'm a little more patient, just dealing with bullshit, quite frankly. All right, I got to play this game now. Let's just deal with it, get it done, and then we can go on and do what we actually need to do. We can continue the mission after we do this stupid little whatever it might be, paperwork, whatever. So, yeah, so patience.
So when did you come up with the idea about the Become Stronger program? When did that happen?
To circle back to that line from the Louis L'Amour book always stuck in my head. This would have been 6 or 7 years ago. A friend of mine started working out with cast iron maces, and he wanted me to build him one. And that always stuck in my head, because I knew I've been working out with kettlebells since 2007. So I got on them relatively early, and now you can buy them in Walmart, they're readily available. And maces are going to be the same way. But anyway, the blacksmith shop that I was working in, while I was in basic training, some shit happened, and I got kicked out of the blacksmith shop while I was gone. And so essentially I lost all my I lost all my mentors' tools and the ability to use them. And I had to think of something to support my family. So I was like, I'm going to start building maces. And I had no idea how I was going to do it. And then like, I just went out to the old round top barn out on my wife's family's farm and started welding, started like tinkering around with it. And then like I built one, sent it to my friend. He used it, built a couple more to give to like some of my friends that are MMA fighters and trainers and all that stuff. And like a week later, like I built my Instagram page and just went for it because I needed money coming in, you know. So like I just started getting after it, and we're slowly growing now. But yeah.
So walk us through that process now. I'm fascinated with it. I'm thinking about like Game of Thrones. Was it Gendry? He was the guy who was the Baratheon line. He was from the Baratheon line. Who he was the one who made the swords. He made all the shit for the
I didn't
guys.
watch Game of Thrones. So.
You never watched Game of Thrones? How do I not know that about you?
I don't know.
Wow.
Sorry.
Did Buck Leatherchaps ever watch Game of Thrones? Can I talk to him, please?
You're goddamn right, dude.
Goddamn right, I watched it.
Yeah, what are some of the, because I never really got in, I always wanted to get into the Mason like workouts and what's some of the benefits that you find with that versus like a kettlebell or traditional dumbbells and things like that? So
like I still swing a kettlebell about every day. But as far as working out with the mace, and for me, like I've done jiu-jitsu since really regularly since 2006. So I've led a pretty high impact life, and this is like swinging a mace has like rehabbed my shoulders like almost completely because they getting wrenched on all the time, you know. Like I've got a white belt that I'm teaching him move to, and like he goes a little hard like on an arm lock and just starts tearing them up. And a lot of jiu-jitsu guys, we have our shoulders roll forward, you know, because you're being pulled on a lot, and you're in tight, and as far as your posture is concerned. And so a lot of us were kind of our shoulders are pulled forward, and this helps correct that. It'll bring your shoulders back, so it'll help correct get your posture where it needs to be.
Yeah.
So now, like, if I swing a mace 4 or 5 times a week, you know, like I use them as my warm up, I've just noticed a huge difference. You know, it's not like the end all be all. It's just a tool, but man, does it help. It helps a lot. And, yeah, my shoulders don't hurt anymore. Now part of that might be I'm not as stupid as I used to be, and I don't go as hard, you know, like I'm not training injured. I'm not doing all that stuff, but the mace has definitely helped too. So yeah. It's just a couple of moves that you need to do.
Yeah. I was going to ask about that. It's interesting. It has like a poetic,
there's thing, like a dance to it, you know, it's kind of like you have to flow with the movement of the mace.
So yeah, you really do. Like if you don't, like it can bite you, you know, like and then there's a couple of different, so there's like the traditional mace movements, like the 10 and 2, the 360. I don't have the room, or I would show you guys. The 360 and a couple others that are more traditional, and then you have like, it's called mace flow, and it's basically like dancing with the mace. And I'm not into that. I've got some friends that are. I'm into more of just the traditional. I want to use the tool for the benefit, like these benefits. And like, if I want to go dancing, like I'll go get drunk with my wife and we'll go dancing. No offense to anybody that does the mace flow. It's just not for me. But yeah, it's just a tool. It's a really good tool. Like I believe anybody that does like anything that impacts your body at all, combat sports, like if you're lifting like regular, like barbells and dumbbells, you need to do this just to open your chest back up, open your shoulders back up. Unless you're doing yoga a few times a week, then you're probably good, but I'm not doing that. So
do you ever pick it up and pretend you're swinging it at Darth Vader or a bad guy.
You know, I beat the shit out of a tractor tire that I have in my gym. That's about it. Yeah,
I would totally get into the whole thing. I would be like, I'm gonna.
Would you be a flow guy?
Yeah.
I feel like I would be a flow guy.
I would probably do a little bit of both. I would do, because I don't feel like I have enough rhythm to do it. I feel like I would start and I would hit myself in the shin with it and break my leg as I'm trying to flow through it. I don't know.
What are the weights that they come in, and is it like the more benefit you get with like a heavier ones, you can get deeper in a stretch, or like how does that?
That's a good question. So like for mine, it starts at 10 pounds and then it goes up in 5 pound increments from there. My favorite mace is my 15 pound loadable. So I've got it. I didn't even bring one. Like, that's how prepared I was today. It's loadable up to like 30 pounds using steel shot. And I put like 5 pounds of steel shot in there, so I get it up to 20 pounds. And the shot has enough room to move around. So as you're swinging it, you get a little more pull. You know, it's a little more dynamic as it's going behind your head, and that really helps with that stretch. So yeah, like if you have a little more weight, it'll definitely help. Like I've got friends, customers that have I build them 60 pound maces and they swing it like it's nothing. Jeez. And it's insane, and it's not me. Like I do like a max weight I'll go up to is like a 30 to 35, and I'm playing around moving the weight up, but yeah, I just take it slow, you know. I'm really comfortable with like a 20 to 30 pound mace, but yeah.
So what are the next steps then for you for Become Stronger? Like from this point, now that you kind of have it down pat, like what your business looks like, how you're going to go about it. What's the next steps? Where do you see it going in the future? So
right now, like I'm at the point where like it either needs to get bigger, where business, I need to get more customers and more. I'm developing some products right now when I have time, but I need to get bigger, more money coming in, more customers, to like live, you know, to pay the bills, and like, because I do a bunch of other stuff on the side to bring money in. And it's I either need to make it big to where it's self-sustaining completely, or I need to be happy with it just being kind of like a great big side hustle. You know what I mean? Like I'm at that point right now. And so I want it to get bigger. Like I want to employ some people, at least 1 or 2 people in my shop. I've got a great big shop, and it's just me working in there. Employ some people and just start sending maces. I'm already sending them all over the world now. I just got to bump those numbers up, you know. But yeah, so that's where I'm at right now. It's the joys of entrepreneurship, man. Like, it's something.
And we're kind of in that same spot as you're kind of waiting for something to hit. You just don't see it yet. I mean, I would be as, you know, so bold as to say that, you know, Become Stronger, Pake McNally, the official Mace Company of Building Men podcast. I would say without a doubt.
I was going to say you'll be getting some shipments out to Jersey.
Yeah, I'm playing. Well, I'm wanting to send you boys some anyway. So yeah, let's do it.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah.
We'd be honored, and not only that, we'll keep one in the studio here.
Keep one in the studio, and that'll be fucking my videos of just using your, and I can just tag you and be using your stuff. I just got to figure out how the hell to use it. So maybe you.
Yeah, I'll point you in the right direction. Yeah. Like I'm not a trainer with it, and I don't claim to be, because I know there's a lot of men that are and women that are a lot better than me. But I'll point you in the right direction, and they all use my stuff too. Jocko Willink uses my mace. Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so
that's badass.
Yeah, it's just the cool thing about metalwork is, like, you know, I was a blacksmith before this. Like, you can make anything out of metal. Like, if it Become Stronger Industries won't fail, but I might have to transition to something else. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, as long as I'm working for myself most of the time, like, I'll be okay. Like, yeah, it just is what it is. It just might look different, you know, than what it is right now. But
I just have to pivot, at some point. But you have that ability and flexibility because you have a talent that, you know, a lot of people don't have, or they're not willing to put in the work to learn it, you know, so that's what's cool about it.
Yep, for sure. So, yeah, man, it's just, I've got a buddy of mine, he started his own, him and a friend, they drill water wells for a living. And every time I see him, and like, I've known him forever, but, we both we're building our businesses together, and right now we're in the middle of our montage, you know, like we're just working our asses off, and like what lasts for 3 minutes in the movie that's like 15 years or whatever, like we're in the middle of that, you know, 10-year overnight success story. So
that's awesome.
Listen, it hits home with us as well, without a doubt.
Yeah.
We're going through the same journey at the same time. Yep. So with the I want to make sure that the audience truly understands. So like, what would be, you know, as far as a price point goes, you know, for one of your maces? Yeah.
So right now, I just this morning had to raise all my prices because material is going, like everything is going up. Right. So the raw material to build them. Right now, the average price is right around $100 for a mace. And I build hammers, too. I build a bunch of custom ones, like Spartan-themed. Like, I've made so many Mjolnirs, like, I can't even, you know, Thor's hammers. I've got them all over the place. So, the starting cost is right around $100. And then you've got shipping, and that's all, like, that's not getting any cheaper. So it's not cheap, but it's like a kettlebell, you know. They're not going to break. Like, the good thing about my maces is, like, a kettlebell could actually break. You could drop it off and it's cast iron. So like you might just end up breaking the handle off and having a damn cannonball, and you know, instead of a kettlebell. But my maces are all made out of like mild steel. So they won't crack, you know, like I've never had one bend or break or anything like that. So it's a lifetime investment. And then you can customize them however you want to. Like, I started a deal, like, I don't know how I thought of it, but like you can get custom, if you've got a favorite quote, you know, you can get that stamped in the iron. I'll stamp it in there for you and make it look really badass. And then that's yours, you know. And I don't know, I really like that, you know, words are really powerful. So, yeah.
Oh, it's tremendous. Yeah, we'll do anything that we can to support you on your journey. I think that's tremendous.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, so it's funny, for Father's Day, I got Thor's hammer. It's 55 pounds.
Yes.
It is crazy. Like, I was thinking, you know, I could lift a 55-pound dumbbell up over my head. Like, I could pick it up like Thor would, but with the handle and all the weight at the bottom, oh my God. Dude, I'm like, it is. I thought I was gonna tear my shoulder off when I tried to do it. It is no joke.
Yeah,
it's a completely different thing.
Yeah,
like, no, that's legit. That's cool.
The durability of some of these products, and again, you get for, you know, what you pay for. So you pay that price, and you're gonna have this for life, and you're gonna have something that you could use everywhere, right? That's what I love about kettlebells. That's why maces are great. You can literally use them in your backyard, bring them with you, rehab, do them as a workout or do them as a mobility thing. Like, it's just so versatile with what you're getting, and I think that's the benefit of using these products out of anything else.
For sure. No, they've definitely changed my life for the better, improved my physical, like, well-being. Like, I'm just not in pain. Like, other things hurt now, but not my shoulders, you know.
It's more your feelings.
Yeah, for sure.
So Pake, tell the Building Men audience where they can find you, how they can get your products.
Yeah, so you can find me at become-stronger.com. That's like my Shopify website. You can find me on Facebook at Become Stronger Industries, and then most of my business and communication with people comes through Instagram, like how we got hooked up. And that's at become_stronger_. So
a little late to the game there, huh?
Yeah, I was. I'm still not happy about it. Someday I'll be able to buy it from that fella that I don't even think they're using it. But yeah. So it is what it is.
It's fine. We got a dot in the middle of ours, so
we needed that dot in the middle of the Building Men one as well.
Makes it special.
So yeah, it definitely resonates with tough. So what we'll do too is, as you know, we'd be happy to promote you in any way we can.
Cool.
You know, and we'll put that out there to the audience to go and take a look at what you're doing. We would be honored to have Become Stronger Mace in our studio. I think that'd be badass. That would just be part of our shit in here, without a doubt.
Things to be part in the studio, so that's I love that.
Well, you guys got a bare wall, like white wall behind you. Like, I think y'all need like a custom building men's sign. So I'll get on that.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
That would be freaking tremendous.
Yeah. So.
Absolutely. That's tremendous.
Yeah, not a problem. I love building maces, but I like making like metal artwork. Like that's what, and like, so we'll get creative with it. I'll talk to you guys like offline and we'll come up with the design, all three of us, and I'll make something badass for you.
You just did something with like a skeleton. It was like a tribal skeleton thing.
Yeah.
Dude, that was amazing.
Like a Native American skull with a headdress that I cut out, and I've got. I don't know if you can see it, but like that's the gym awesome, that I came up in. Like Jiu Jitsu or die is our motto. So like, I just cut out the sign or cut out the letters. Then I forged the skull. I cut it out and then threw it in the forge and forged it to shape. And yeah, like these pieces of metal are off of a Jack Daniel's whiskey barrel that I acquired somewhere. Like I like reusing stuff. Repurposing stuff. So.
See, like zombie apocalypse, you want to be with this dude.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that shit is like, we're hitting you up when shit hits the fan. We're going to be like, all right, dude.
We'll be in Medicine Lodge, Kansas.
Yeah, that's right, real quick.
I live on a dead-end dirt road, man. Like, nobody's getting to me. Like, come on out. Yeah.
Fucking beat their asses with maces.
And I could actually see you wearing a shirt that looks something like that, too.
Yeah.
With some...
Yeah, like a logo like that is sick. Yeah.
So... any final words, Pake? We appreciate you being here, man. This is tremendous.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
You know, like, I just really like what you guys are doing. I just listened, and I want to get his name right, because he was, like, his podcast with you guys, your interview, like, was awesome. And it just, hold on one second. Alex Bales?
Alex Bales, yeah. Alex is, he's an Ohio guy. He suffered through addiction, and, good dude. Yep.
Dude, I listened to that, and like I always listen to podcasts when I'm in my shop, but like your guys' chat with him was just awesome. Like I can't explain it anything other than like it was just it hit me in a way that like I just need to listen to it again and get more out of it. But it's legit. So what you men are doing is just badass. Like I love it. Continue to do it. You know, like we need as Americans, we think we're all badass, but like 42% of us is like morbidly obese, you know, like, and like everybody's dying of heart disease and other bullshit. Like we're not as badass as we think we are, you know, and it takes guys like you and like, I'm doing my part trying to like try to change that, you know? So yeah.
No, we definitely appreciate that, man. Truly do. And appreciate you following along with us and, jumping on with us for a couple minutes. If you're listening,
this is fun.
Yeah. So if you're listening to the podcast, a couple things. One, support Pake McNally and what he's doing, Become Stronger. So go check out his website, his Instagram. We'll put everything into the show notes. We'll promote this on Instagram to make sure that you see everything that Pake is doing and what you can do to support. Make sure if you are listening to the podcast, if there's anyone out there that you feel would benefit from this message, a lot of what we do, we don't do a whole lot of promotion. It's kind of grassroots. It's people saying, hey, listen, these guys are onto something. Check it out. Share it with someone that you know. Rate and review. That's another big thing. If people that write reviews for the podcast, it helps get the message out as well. Buck Leatherchaps, any final words?
I'm just happy to be here.
Goddamn tootin' you are. So, Pake McNally, thanks so much, my friend. Go a step further than you thought you could go. We'll see you next time on Building Men.